Hi everybody, how you doing? Just want to go ahead and thank you for coming back again. This is our next video. We're going to deal just solely in strategies and some theories. In order to go ahead and win the battle that lies within yourself, kind of have to have a point of reference. So you know you're not walking this journey alone. You know, Thomas Edison said, "It's not that I have failed, I have found 10,000 ways that haven't worked." Interesting. It's not I can't do it, it's I found 10,000 ways that didn't work. Change the words, change the thought process. Always looked for the positive. And yet he knew, that his failures would lead to success. There are other people in the world who have overcome in history many different names. I would just like to go ahead and read you a couple. James Madison, Teddy Roosevelt, Beethoven, Neil Young, Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great. These are just some names of individuals that overcame handicaps in the world. All of these folks that I've just mentioned had epilepsy or some form of a disease that stopped them, They overcame it and became world leaders in their specific fields. So what's amazing is that you have situations that we can sit back and decide it's too hard to overcome, or, and more importantly, we can figure out ways to make it a success. Not every handicap is a disease that will stop. People with handicaps always sit and look at other individuals. It's not the why me type of thing or thought process, but it's, wow, look at that individual. For instance, I have epilepsy, but anytime I got a little confused of whether I could overcome it or not, I remember how I went and met a young man who had cancer. I didn't have cancer, so obviously epilepsy wasn't that bad. See, it allowed me to win the battle within myself. There was an objection. I had to find something that would allow me to see it from a different light. I didn't have cancer. I wasn't in a cancer ward. I just had seizures. Let's move on. You see, it's a thought process. Let's talk about some of the strategies that create a thought process. The first strategy is, where do you want to go? What is it you want to do? Because before you can get there, you have to know what the answer to those questions are. For me, I knew that I wasn't living the life I wanted to live, so I had to change things in my life. Predominantly, I had to change my internal dialogue. I had to change the words I used for descriptions of myself and situations. It was imperative that for me, that was the starting point, because it's so easy to define things in a negative manner because it's comfortable. Excuse me, because it's comfortable. The words we use will also create barriers, boundaries, walls we can't get around, objections we can't overcome, because the words we use when they're negative really create cement in our thought process. So let's look at a strategy of overcoming a wall that's in front of you, a barrier, as it were. A lot of times we see those barriers, and other times we've created them, and other times the barriers just pop out of nowhere, and we're stopped in all three examples. The first strategy is there's got to be a way of getting around it. So, can you climb over it, or is the wall too high? Can you jump the hurdle, or is it too high? Are you not fast enough to create the momentum that you need to jump over the hurdle? You got to look for options if the answers are no. On every hurdle, it's only so wide. So maybe you don't jump over it, maybe you just walk around it. And when you get to the other side, it's not that bad. But your thought process has to be open enough to allow you to know that there are options on how to get around the hurdle. I think the saying was, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And it's the same thought process. You're not locked in. There are options. And so when you're trying to win the battle within yourself, know your options. Step back. look at it logically and say, okay, is this really a major hurdle? Or is it something I've just put up? Because I'm getting too close to my goal, so let's see how I can stop myself because I don't want to be successful. There's a thing called fear of success. Obstacles that we throw up, are obstacles we have the answer to, but the obstacles just make us feel comfortable. Another reason why we can't succeed is because of that obstacle. I want you to consider something. Why would you work so hard to get someplace, and then as you got closer to it, you just chose not to do it? The answer is that you didn't outline, how to win. You didn't understand the battle that lays within yourself. You didn't understand all the hard work it's going to take to get to the end goal. Or you understood all those things. But now as you got to the end goal, it started to become kind of afraid. You started doubting if you were really worth being where you're at. You started wondering. You started questioning. So instead of getting the answer, you just threw up, you know what? I know what's going to happen. It's probably not going to be a positive thing for me, so why go forward? Did you listen to the words I used? Why, can't, won't. They were self-defeating words. But if that's your mindset, it's logical. It's, you know what? Yeah, that's right. It's not what it's going to be. That's not true. You're telling yourself the solution. When you get around to the other side, I will guarantee you that it will not be as bad as you think it is. And that when you get to that other side, you would have won a battle that, although it seemed huge at that moment, really wasn't that big. And you'll be able to celebrate yourselves for getting into that mode of success. You'll get used to it. You'll enjoy it. It's that important. So many people fail when they're so close to being successful. So many people stop doing their dream when it only took one more step for the dream to be a reality. Don't make that you. And we're not going to allow that to happen with these strategies. So let's talk about how to overcome your internal fears. Identify them. What are they? Go back to the hard questions. So you want to say to yourself, get a piece of paper and write down 3 of the biggest weaknesses you know, and then go ahead and write down 3 of the strengths you wish you had, and see if they line up. A lot of times they will. So here's your weakness, there's your strength. What has it got to be to get that? You have to go ahead and maybe do some research within yourself, maybe online, whatever it takes. But identify specifically what it is you want. You might want to write a word down and look at the antonym so that you know exactly the two polar opposites. You may want to ask for help, whether it be from friends, but you can't ask for help unless you know what it is you're asking. Please, it's very, very important, take this strategy to heart, because again, it's another foundational block. Please understand that you have so much strength to do this, and it's so important to your success. I want you to high-five yourself prior to writing this, because you can do this. You will do this, and you will be successful. The second strategy that I want you to do is to write down a very big step for you. What is it? In other words, what has happened in the past that has stopped you from obtaining your goals? Next question I want you to ask is, what is it that you felt once you've accepted the reasons why you didn't get to the goals? And thirdly, what value and what part of your character, if implemented, would have allowed you to overcome those negative things that happen, or will allow you to move forward so those negative things don't happen. Those are 3 key strategies in helping to win the battle within yourself. It's identification. It's not running away from who you are. The strategy of you is the identification of your strengths, of your weaknesses, and then taking those as a game plan to move forward for success. I hope this has helped. I look forward to our next conversation. Thanks for all you do, and be so excited for tomorrow. Talk to you later.